Alright then, I put all my strength into it. Heave! Ow! Please, my dear fellows, you don't need to pull my ear off. Mr. Sholmes, where are you? Myself and my trusty partner are presently in the first-class cabin area of the SS Grouse. The SS Grouse? She left over last night after the final piece of the cargo were loaded. We are currently docked at Dunkirk, but due to be underway again in half an hour. You've taken a ship to France? Please, even with my athletic prowess, I would struggle to jump the streets of Dover. After we left Baker Street last night, we hurried by cab to the station and by train to the port, in order to board this vessel in time. So, you mean you already worked it out? That the steamship was where everything really took place? Mr. Naruhodo, pray, what is my name? Herlock Sholmes, world-famous great detective. Recited to perfection. Well done. You're a genius, Mrs. Sholmes. That's the only word for it. Ow, 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 ow! Mrs. Zato, gently with this genius's ear, please. Oh my, I'm ever so sorry. If I may, Sholmes. Ah, there you are, Mikitoba. You may remember that it was I, in fact, who made the connection to the SS Grouse. At Scotland Yard yesterday, when we examined that notebook, and I recall my steamship ticket. Ha 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 ha! But of course it was, my dear fellow. And not once did I convert that fact. I merely had our counterbound companions utter my name. Yes, you did, didn't you? We just entered a recess. The trial resumes in 30 minutes from now. And if we are unable to present any new leads then, I'm afraid to say. Do not fret, please. It is for precisely that purpose that my partner and I have made this journey. I have no doubt that we shall have welcome news for you within the half hour. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. That would be wonderful. Until later, then. Yes, you'll be hearing from us if you're not in touch first. Ow, 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 ow! I won't be hearing anything if you keep tugging my ear in this mindless fashion. Whatever was the idea behind making a receiver that operated that way in the first place, Sholmes? Why the deuce would I know? It's Iris's invention, not mine. Whilst I know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour... That's a long voice. Whilst I know how much you enjoy being the hero of the hour, Sholmes, we have but half that now before the grouse pelts the sea again. If we don't conclude our investigations rapidly, we shall find ourselves in Naples before long. There are times, Mikitoba, when you make a surprising amount of sense. So, let us begin. First class cabin number... Sorry, wrong voice again. First class cabin number 2. Yes, this is the one. But I don't believe an investigation of the cabin is going to be plain sailing. Why, you are loitering here. Who are you? My dear fellow, do you not recognize a world-famous great detective when you see one? The question really ought to be, who are you? Do you not recognize world-traveling great sailor Chicken Stroganoff when you see? Great detective? Huh, I don't think so. Do you see that, Mikitoba? It would appear that this man is a devoted follower of mine. Goodness me, sorry, one voice again. Goodness me, is that a tattoo? That's just Sholmes. I must say, while such an adoration is flattering, naturally, it does leave me a bit cold. What are you talking about? Leave, now! How distressing! My loyal devotee only knows me by name and not by appearance. And yet, I already know a great deal about you, sir. You have a brother, I believe. Like yourself, he is a shipman. Currently traveling the world above a Russian steamship, in fact. How could you know this? Elementary, my dear Mikitoba. I'm sure it was. 3 days ago, I was bound for London aboard this ship, you see, looking for one of my fellow passengers, a man by the name of Jigoku. There was no one here with this name on board. We know that he purchased a ticket for passage. You mean Eastern man. He left ship 2 hours ago. He was Dunkirk. He had something about emergency, I would think. What? Are you sure? His cabin is the one behind you. We should like to investigate, please. No, I have orders not to let even mouse inside. Mikitoba, now be a good man and draw the sailor's attention away, would you? Make us some excuse that he leaves the area. Doesn't great detective see even sailors have ears, both left and right? Curses! The plan is ruined! And you have only yourself to blame, I'm afraid, Sholmes. Forget it. Cabin door is locked. Even if I am not here, you cannot get inside. Mikitoba? I'm sure you haven't forgotten my special talent, have you? Within a mere 5 seconds. So if you made so kind to afford me the requisite time, old friend, in your typically accommodating manner. I could have used a typically unappealing request, old friend. Good man! So, the game is afoot. Ah, the switch for the electrical lights. That's stupid. He would still stand there, so, I think. It cannot launch another distraction. This must be a mousetrap, I think. I literally don't see how, so... That's another first-class cabin, and yet its door is completely unguarded. Empty as well. I had a quick look inside earlier. Though I confess I didn't investigate the wardrobe. There may very well be a young Japanese fellow inside, perspiring merrily. If you're referring to Naruhodo, you know very well that he's currently perspiring merrily in court. Does it not strike you, though, Mikitoba? Why the man stands guard only in front of this cabin, when both are apparently vacant? Does it appear to be an alarm bell? I'll help it. Why not? You! What are you doing? If we were at sea, that would be a very bad problem. Ugh. Sorry, sir. Nothing to report. It was just a stupid trick. No, not by me. By world famous. No, as I told you. Now, Sholmes, now! Done. Not even 5 seconds, eh? But don't stand there gawping at my brilliance, Mikitoba. In we go! Oh, yes. Good gracious. It would appear that the occupant of this cabin did indeed disembark rather hurriedly. Those clothes on the floor there, they're Seshiro's, without question. Well, it seems we are just a little too late. Yes, by about 2 hours. Still, whilst we're here, we should investigate thoroughly. There may well be 2 hours of clues to find in here. That burly crewman may return at any moment, Sholmes. Indeed he may. Which makes this all the more thrilling. According to the report I was given, Naruhodo was concealing himself in Asogi's wardrobe. Indeed he was. It was of a similar size to this one. Ah, you must climb inside yourself, my dear fellow. What? Whatever for? It was the site of my first fateful meeting with Mr. Naruhodo. You can experience the moment for yourself now, complete with my dramatic rhetoric. Come along now, in you go. This'll only take a moment. Really, Sholmes, surely you can't just tell me what you said. Well, I added some brilliant remark and opened the wardrobe to reveal a stowaway murderer. I think I just read about it in the Adventures of Herlock Sholmes. Right, the exquisite glass, I must say. So, see here how it... Is something wrong, Sholmes? You suddenly trailed off. Ice, Mikatoba, ice! What opulent the first-class passengers enjoy. Chilled drinks. Pardon? Could it be that this steamship is equipped with an electrically refrigerated cold room, do you think? Well, it is a luxury liner, after all. They have enormous refrigerators for storing all sorts of large produce as well as ice. On our voyage from Japan, we enjoyed culinary delights from all over the world. Certainly, Mikatoba. Sight of you is making my mouth water. I haven't taken on the flavor of the food I ate, you know. This is the waste paper basket, look. And there's still rubbish inside. Indeed? And let us pry. I discovered recently I have a penchant for exploring the contents of others' waste paper baskets. I sincerely hope only for your work. Ah. Here we have a notice issued to passengers from 3 days ago. 3 days ago? Right before we arrived in London, then. When I was still aboard myself. Ah, yes. Sorry, of course. Yes, that was an evacuation drill. I remember now. For our safety and security, all first-class passengers were constantly under the watchful eye of the crew. So it was a welcome relief to have some privacy for once. That's a very sizable trunk indeed. Seshiro is partial to all things large. And rather clumsy fellow if he failed to notice he left that behind. Perhaps he left it on purpose. It's lighter than you might think, but still a hindrance to a speedy escape. Pity. It's locked, so I can't look inside. Surely 5 seconds from now, the situation should be quite different, though? Sadly not. It is a 7-digit combination lock. And I'm not in a more enough mood to work through all the combinations at present. I was speaking to me, and look. It has been stopped with some cloth. So the voices of the crewmen on the bridge aren't annoyance, I suppose. Oh, indeed, so that the voices in this cabin aren't heard elsewhere. Could something have happened to you that was over no one's ears, do you think? Either that, or it could be to prevent some snakes from entering. That's really become a favorite case of yours, hasn't it? There's these rules of passage. Passengers must not keep weapons or other dangerous objects in their cabins. Pets are also strictly forbidden. Additionally, there are several severe punishments for storing away in wardrobes and / or travel cases. I feel the rules have increased since I last read them. Probably just my imagination. Or by the fact that they're not straight on the wall. Doesn't that strike you? You may be right. Probably just the imagination, though. A trifle. But you know what I always say, Mikatoba? There's something important about trifles. Probably just my imagination, but I think that might be slightly off. Plenty of reading materials to keep passengers occupied on long sea voyages. I found the mixture of classical literature and easy reading to be most satisfactory, I must say. Tusk! Whoever stocked this bookcase was a hopeless heretic. There's no copy of the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes, my dear fellows. I'm afraid it's just me. But no, you're quite right. One blasphemous overlooked in the Bible. I shall leave a copy behind. I just happen to have one with me. You're a true missionary of the Church of Great Detectives, aren't you? Well, slightly different color just here, don't you see? Indeed. Where do you have observed devices when a frame has been hanging for some time is removed? Perhaps your friend is an art thief. Now there's a more deduction worthy of a great detective, I'm sure. He may very well be the elusive thief who had been plaguing France's galleries of late. I think perhaps we should focus our attentions elsewhere, Sholmes, don't you? You are still here! Ah, Abel Seaman Stroganoff. Hello again. I was beginning to think that you'd never materialize. You were waiting for me. You are waiting for me. Of course, I was waiting you to bust in with a hearty Russian profanity far sooner. I was in trouble with Captain because of the trick you played before. It is all your fault. Ship is leaving port soon. Get off, now! Of course, we shall just embark presently, my dear fellow. But first, there's something that must be done. What are you talking about? Why, naturally. The debunking of your deceit and bearing of the truth. Goy? I'm afraid I see through your lies. For one thing, Mr. Jigoku has not yet left this vessel at all. Ugh! And another, my dear Seaman Stroganoff, you know exactly where the man is, even as we speak, don't you? How can you? Good gracious, Sholmes, you mean you worked it out? All of it? It's really been too long, hasn't it, old friend? 10 years, no less. So, would you care to join me for a dance, with my immutable logic and reasoning? Nothing would please me more. What is this? We have but minutes until the vessel puts to sea. No games now. Time is of the essence. Mr. Stroganoff, allow me to remind you of your earlier claim. You told us that Jigoku had left the ship some 2 hours ago. Duh! That is what I said! Sadly, that was a rather clumsy lie. You see, there is something in this room that quite clearly contradicts it. What? Ugh. I see you've noted it too, Mikotoba. Then please, do take the lead. What in this cabin shows the impossibility of Jigoku having disembarked 2 hours ago? Let's see if the last 3 years have done to your observation skills then, Mikotoba. It's been 10 years since you last did this, Sholmes, not 3. Why, of course it has, quite. Now all the clues are here in this cabin for your eyes to see. But as I always say, you must not merely look, but observe. Observe, and the answers become clear. So, impress me. I think I can manage that. Take that! Perhaps you said it to clear away that glass. How curious that the ice shouldn't have melted despite it being abandoned 2 hours ago. Ugh. It would appear that the man was here in this very cabin until moments before our arrival. With this well-chilled glass in hand. One might even conclude that somebody informed him on our boarding. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Stroganoff? Ugh. But why would Sheshro run from us? Before we consider that question, allow me to confirm one small matter. Would I be correct in saying that these first-class cabins of the SS Grouse are the same ones in which you and Mr. Jigoku were accommodated on your voyage from Japan? That's right, they are. I was in the cabin next door, and Sheshro was. Yes. 50 days in this very cabin during our voyage. As I suspected, for you see, there are traces in this cabin of a dark secret that Mr. Jigoku had to hide. What traces? I know nothing about this! This is news to you, isn't it, Mr. Stroganoff? Sometimes, Sholmes, what exactly are you getting at? As I said, there are traces in this cabin of some nefarious activity. Something that appears out of place, which I'm quite sure won't have escaped your notice. That's the key to this, Mikotoba. The remnants of the dark deed that took place in here, being masked by something quite innocuous. I must say, I didn't foresee ever doing this dance of deduction with you again, Mikotoba. No, quite. But life is full of unexpected twists and turns, as we well know. Now then, let's see if I can uncover the truth here. Yes, you have the floor, my dear fellow. Take that! It's the rules of passage in this frame here. They're obviously out of place. The way they're hanging crooked on the wall, as if they were put there in a hurry. Yes, as I'm sure you already concluded, that frame was originally over here. The shape and size are a perfect match. Duh, you are right. When did frame move? Hardly the most observant of crewmen, are you, Mr. Stroganoff? Our thinking captain is quite justified in having his reservations about your reliability. Ugh. So, Mikotoba, why don't you lift that frame off the wall? That looks like a bullet hole. What? Who has been shooting walls? I see that the projectile has been removed. Clearly the careful occupant of the room has already disposed of it. Now then, Mr. Stroganoff. Ugh. I have the distinct impression that you are intending to shield said occupant. I don't know what you're talking about. Why would I try to protect Eastern Stranger? Ah, so we're talking about the same man. I see. Good. Ugh. I'm sure we can get to the bottom of this in no time. Aren't you? Because there's some very noteworthy evidence. It explains the reason you're lying. Why you're lying for the man. Yes, you've been told to keep up this pretense, as clearly shown by... I really don't know how to approach this one, Sholmes. Ah, my dear Mikotoba, simply keep first principles in mind. Study a subject from every angle, and I'm quite sure that you'll see it. In fact, I put a wager on it. Should the glad it fell from both sides, or I can certainly do that. Take that! It's almost too obvious for words. Quite. The universal language of the world. Money. Ugh. And I wager that the Eastern fellow in question is Seshiro Jigoku, yes? Ugh. So, how does we realize what this means? There are clear signs of a crime having been committed in this cabin. And the way you're going, sir, you'll find yourself accused of being an accomplice. But... I believe you know, Mr. Stroganoff. You know where Mr. Jigoku is hiding at this precise moment in time. As always, Mikotoba, in matters of deduction, the furtive glance is your unfaltering ally. Yes, I think you're onto something there, Sholmes. You found the chink in this burly fellow's armor. We need only follow the man's gaze, and know where our prey is hiding. The slightest flick of the pupils, a minimally delayed blink. Nothing exceeds my attention, even that which is barely perceivable. They could hardly call this barely perceivable, Sholmes. The man turned his entire head around. It's not exactly what you describe. Sorry, it's not exactly what you describe as a furtive glance, is it? It's almost too obvious. I shall let your tapping toes aside, my dear fellow. Take that! You turned immediately to look at this large trunk, didn't you? Ugh. The truth is, Seshiro Jigoku was unable to escape from the ship in time, and is, at this very moment, doing his best to stifle his breath inside this trunk. If he still has a breath to take, I fear he may be running dangerously low on air. Imagine he didn't count on us making a nuisance of ourselves for quite so long. I think it would be in everyone's best interest for us to open the trunk as quickly as possible. But how can we? Are you forgetting about the combination lock? We don't know the 7-digit code. The combination lock can't be opened from inside the trunk. Therefore, there must have been an arrangement for somebody to open it after our departure. Of course. In short, before Jigoku hid himself inside that trunk, he must have told somebody the 7-digit number for the lock. As I'm sure you can confirm, Mr. Stroganoff. No, I know nothing about combination code. Don't move a muscle, my good seaman. Five, 2, 3, 1, 0, 4, 5. Huh? Now, Mikotoba, would you do the honors and open the trunk? How on earth do you expect me? It's a 7-digit number, remember? Quickly now, you have little time. Take that! You had the medal, didn't you? Well, Yujin, you found me now. Sexual. I was really hoping beyond hope not to find you here, you know. But you're not entirely unsurprised, I take it. No, quite. I just wish it was some other way. Well, are you ever going to introduce me? Ah, your reputation precedes you, Mr. Sholmes. I read stories of your exploits. Excuse my manners, Sholmes. This is Mr. Jigoku, my old friend and traveling companion. The devil's in the details, Mikotoba. I believe you meant to say your old friend and traveling companion who made the cowardly decision to flee the country without a word to anyone when things went sour. I see my reputation precedes me as well. What an honor. Well, Seshro, I'm gonna explain all of this. You know by now, I imagine. What you didn't know, of course, is that 3 days ago, or the night before our arrival in Britain, an attempt was made on my life here on this very ship. By the Reaper of the Bailey? Yes, I've since heard. Because you were once persecuted by the Reaper, weren't you? 10 years ago now, mind you. And I had no idea at the time what a dangerous individual he was. Anyway, when we arrived in London to find the symposium was postponed until goodness knows when, it became all too apparent to me that I might very well be targeted again. So you decided to flee the capital, without saying a word to me about it? I'm afraid so, yes. Of course, I realize now that I really ought to have confided in you. It's somewhat surprising, I must say. What is? Well, first-class cabins aboard luxury steamships are on very short supply. It's more than a little hard to believe that this one just happened to be available. So says the protagonist in some colorful short stories. Well, I don't care for your opinion. The cabin did just happen to be available, so I purchased a ticket, and here I am. I've just seen for myself the obvious remnants of what incident in this cabin, so I purchased your return ticket before you even docked in Dover, had you? To prevent anyone else from taking this cabin and seeing the evidence. Is that it? Yujin, I have nothing to say to you. Well, in a mere 5 minutes, this ship will set off on its outward voyage and not make port again until Italy. I'm afraid I must insist that you disembark with us at once. You have no jurisdiction over my movements. We have this, Seshiro. Take it. What is it? It's a peanut for the Old Bailey. You're a man of the law. You know what ramifications of ignoring a document like this from Britain courts would be. You came prepared then, Yujin. Come on, let's go. One moment. What is it, Sholmes? Inside Mr. Goku's trunk. I found this rather fascinating trinket. What is that? Seshiro? I can't help you, I'm afraid. Some small component for something. But what? I have no idea. Well, let us pocket it as a small souvenir of our brief sojourn in France.